Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question. Have you ever woken up, looked at the ceiling, and wondered if there's a better way to start your day? Maybe your soul whispers, there must be something more. Maybe you feel a tug in your heart that says you need a deeper, stronger foundation every single morning. Today, I want to talk to you about 10 powerful things we can say to God when we open our eyes, words that have the potential to transform our entire day and ultimately our entire life. Because the truth is, every single morning is a blank canvas, a fresh gift, a new opportunity, a shot at redemption, and a reminder that we are alive for a reason. When we embrace that reason, when we take hold of it and acknowledge a power greater than ourselves, we tap into something so real, so purposeful, and so life-altering that it shakes us awake and sets us on fire with determination. My friends, that's what this moment is all about, igniting that flame in you, challenging you to rise up and meet your mornings with faith, gratitude, and boldness. Think about it. How many of us jump out of bed and go straight to our phones, diving into a world of emails, notifications, and stress before we've even taken a single step? How many of us are so consumed by the demands of the day that we forget to align ourselves with a higher power? We forget to realign our spirit. We forget the gratitude that so many of us once had, that sense of awe at the gift of simply being alive. We feel rushed and restless, and we rarely pause to gather our spiritual resources before plunging headlong into the chaos. But the moment we decide to reset that pattern, when we choose to speak out from our hearts to the God who made us, we shift our perspective. We ground our soul. We anchor ourselves in something eternal. That's what I want for each and every one of you, to be anchored, steadfast, and confident no matter what storms come your way. Because storms will come. You can't avoid them. But you can prepare yourself. You can choose every morning to say, God, I'm here and I'm ready. First, you say, God, thank you for another day. Simple words, but strong enough to move mountains in your heart. Many people walk through life as though tomorrow is guaranteed, never stopping to reflect on the miracle that today truly is. Imagine this. You open your eyes, you inhale that first morning breath, and as you exhale, the first thing you whisper is gratitude. You acknowledge that waking up is not a right. It's a privilege. You might recall a time when you nearly lost something precious. Your health, your relationship, your sense of self. Or maybe you know someone who didn't get the chance to see another morning. In that instant, you realize just how fragile life can be and how each day truly is a gift. If you never pause to appreciate that gift, you can become jaded. You can become numb to your own blessings. When we lose sight of our blessings, we start to complain, to criticize, to blame. Gratitude is the antidote. When we say, thank you for another day, we ground ourselves in humility and prepare our hearts to receive more goodness. If you skip this gratitude, you might get swept up in the hustle. You might race past life's beauty, constantly chasing the next thing, wondering why fulfillment feels so distant. The solution is simpler. Pause, breathe, say thanks. When you do that, you open the door to a calmer mind. You set a tone of reverence, and you remind yourself that every new morning comes packed with possibility. Let this sense of thankfulness roll into the rest of your day. Whether you're driving to work or taking your kids to school, hold on to that spirit of gratitude. Let it shape your attitude and watch as it changes the way you tackle obstacles. Because when your heart brims with thanks, negativity has a much harder time sneaking in. Second, you say, God, guide me today. How often do we wander through our tasks with no clear sense of direction, hoping that we somehow stumble on the right path? We forget that direction is available to us if we only ask for it. Think about a moment when you felt completely lost in your life. No compass, no map, just you stuck in the middle of uncertainty. Sometimes that feeling comes because we haven't quieted ourselves enough to invite God's guidance. If you decide to wing it every day, you may find yourself straying far off course. It's like trying to drive in dense fog. You might make progress, but it's slow, it's stressful, and you're never quite sure if you're still on the road. But if you begin your day by asking for guidance, you lift the fog, you ask, you receive clarity, or at least you receive enough light to take one step at a time. Real-world examples abound. Ever faced a critical decision at work where your career was on the line? Or maybe you didn't know how to handle tension in your family, worried you'd say or do the wrong thing. In those instances, calling out for divine guidance acts like flipping on a lighthouse in a storm. You may not see the entire road, but you see the next harbor, the next haven, the next anchor point. When you say, God, guide me today, you commit yourself to conscious, purposeful action. You align your steps with a plan bigger than your own. Without that direction, you might be like a leaf tossed in the wind, drifting aimlessly, easily swayed by others' opinions. But with it, you become a person of intention, confident that the road you're walking has meaning. Keep that awareness front and center. Throughout your day, as new challenges pop up, remember that you already asked for guidance. Trust that the right ideas, the right words, and the right solutions will come when you need them. And they often will, in subtle or surprising ways. It might come in a conversation you overhear or in a quiet nudging in your spirit. The key is to remain open. The simple act of acknowledging that you need help is the first step to receiving it. Third, you say, God, strengthen my faith. Faith is the bedrock, the sturdy foundation on which you build your life. Without faith, we become vulnerable to every wave of doubt and every storm of uncertainty. Consider a time you doubted your own worth, your own dreams, or even your own potential. Maybe you wanted to start a new venture, chase a new career, or step into a bold calling. But something in your mind said, who do you think you are? That voice of doubt can be so loud that it drowns out everything else, leaving you paralyzed. When you ask God to strengthen your faith, you put a shield over your heart and mind. You remind yourself that you're here on purpose, that you've got an assignment, and you are not alone in fulfilling it. If you skip this step, you risk letting fear run your life. Fear leads to indecision, procrastination, and missed opportunities. You might see an open door, but be too anxious to walk through it. Or maybe you tell yourself the door won't stay open for you because you're not good enough. But in reality, faith is what gives you the courage to step forward even. when the next step isn't crystal clear. Think about an athlete who trains day and night without seeing immediate results. At times, that athlete might think it's pointless, that maybe he or she is never going to reach the pinnacle. Yet they continue, fueled by the belief that hard work pays off. That's faith in action. When you say, God, strengthen my faith, you tap into a power that doesn't rely on what you see, but on what you believe. You reinforce the idea that you can overcome your challenges and that obstacles can become stepping stones. Do you feel a spark in your spirit when you hear that? That spark is possibility. That spark is the knowledge that even if you haven't arrived yet, you're on your way. So whenever you find yourself staring down a mountain, remember the promise you made in the morning. You ask for faith. Stand on that faith and take the next step, even if your legs feel weak, because with faith comes an inner resilience that keeps you pressing forward. Fourth, you say, God, teach me humility. Let me tell you something, humility is not weakness. Humility is strength under control. It's knowing who you are, but acknowledging that you don't have all the answers. We live in a world that celebrates arrogance, that idolizes fame, that sometimes measures your worth by the number of followers you have. But if you walk around thinking you've got it all figured out, you set yourself up for a rude awakening. Pride is often a precursor to a fall. The moment you believe you're untouchable is the moment you're most vulnerable. On the flip side, humility keeps you teachable. It keeps your heart open to wisdom, correction, and growth. If you bypass humility, you risk being blinded by ego. You might ignore warnings from loved ones, dismiss crucial feedback from colleagues, and push away friends who genuinely care. Over time, pride isolates you. You become the sole inhabitant of yourself, made pedestal. And when it crumbles, you fall hard. Imagine a business owner who never listens to his team, convinced he's always right. Eventually, he loses touch with the market, with innovation, and with his own staff. Contrast that with someone who actively seeks input, admits when they're wrong, and views every setback as a lesson. That second person grows, not just in business, but in character. When you say, God, teach me humility, you acknowledge that you still have miles to go, that you don't know it all, and that you are willing to be shaped. This posture invites blessings that arrogance can never earn. It also allows you to connect with people on a deeper level because humility resonates with the human heart. Humility says, I'm with you. I'm learning, and I'm not too proud to admit it. This is liberating, both for you and for those around you, because it creates a safe space where growth can flourish. The day you stop learning is the day you stop living. And humility ensures you keep learning every single day. Fifth, you say, God, help me forgive. Forgiveness is one of the hardest things for most people. We hold on to grudges as though they sustain us, but in reality, those grudges weigh us down bit by bit. Think back to a hurt that cut deep, a betrayal, a broken promise, a lie you never saw coming. The pain from that wound doesn't just disappear on its own. It festers if you don't address it. If you never utter the words, God, help me forgive, you may find yourself trapped in bitterness. Bitterness grows like weeds in your heart, choking out joy, peace, and even love. It takes root so deeply that after a while, you forget what it feels like not to be angry or resentful. Before long, that bitterness shapes your actions, your worldview, and even your relationships. You start lashing out at people who had nothing to do with your original pain. But there's a release that happens when you decide to forgive. You find that the load you've been carrying becomes lighter. Forgiveness doesn't mean you forget the lesson. It doesn't mean you condone what was done to you. It means you free yourself from the chains of anger. You choose to no longer let what happened define you. That's powerful. That's healing. And that's why you ask for divine help in doing it. Because sometimes the hurt goes deeper than you can handle on your own. Maybe you've tried to let go, but your heart is stubbornly clinging to the memory. That's why you say, God, help me forgive. You invite a love that's bigger than yours to fill the gap. You gain the courage to release the offense and move forward. So, if you find yourself struggling with an old wound that never quite healed, remember that tomorrow morning, you can start the day with a plea for forgiveness. Not just for others, but sometimes for yourself too. And each time you choose forgiveness, you grow stronger, kinder, and more resilient. You open up space in your soul for hope to flourish once again. Sixth, you say, God, show me compassion. Life is busy, and it's easy to become self-absorbed, focused only on your own schedule, your own ambitions, your own needs. But one glance around will tell you this world is hurting. People are broken. People are fighting silent battles you know nothing about. When you ask God to show you compassion, you shift from a me-first mindset to a heart that notices others. Maybe you remember a time when you felt alone in your struggles. Nobody seemed to care. Nobody reached out. Nobody offered a listening ear. That memory can remind you how vital compassion really is. Without it, we all become islands, drifting further and further apart, missing the chance to connect on a profound human level. Imagine a coworker who shows up late, grumpy and distant. You could judge them, gossip, label them as lazy, or you could wonder what unseen burdens they carry. Maybe they're caring for a sick relative, or battling depression, or dealing with a financial crisis. Compassion asks you to pause, to consider, and to care. If you never pray for compassion, you might remain blind to others' suffering. You walk right past opportunities to make a difference. You might live in a bubble of your own concerns, thinking the world revolves around you. Over time, that breeds an emptiness, because genuine purpose often arises from serving others. Conversely, when you start your day by asking for compassion, you tune your spirit to empathy. You become slower to judge, quicker to help. You see beyond the surface. You take that extra moment to listen to someone's story, and by doing so, you become an agent of healing in a hurting world. And guess what happens in your own heart? It softens, it opens. It fills with gratitude for the ability to lift someone else up. That's the beauty of compassion. It blesses both the giver and the receiver, forging a bond that makes life richer for everyone involved. You seven, God protect my mind. We live in an era of endless inputs, news updates, social media feeds, countless opinions swirling all around us. The mind can easily become a battlefield, bombarded by negativity, fear, and self-doubt. If you're not careful, those influences can derail your day, your mood, and even your sense of identity. Sometimes it's a harsh criticism from someone you respect or a scroll through social media that plants seeds of envy or insecurity. If you don't guard your mind, those seeds can grow into weeds that choke out your positivity and purpose. You might find yourself comparing your real life to someone else's highlight reel, feeling like you're not enough. You might find yourself dwelling on negative news headlines, convincing yourself the world is hopeless. But when you say, God, protect my mind, you're essentially putting on a helmet of discernment. You ask for wisdom to filter out the harmful noise. You ask for strength to face criticism without losing your sense of worth. You ask for a shield against the cunning lies that tell you you're unlovable or incompetent. If you never take this protective step, you might wake up one day and realize you become a hostage to anxious, negative thought patterns. That mindset can rob you of joy and potential. But with protection in place, you stand taller. You become aware of what you allow into your heart and mind. You recognize toxic patterns and take steps to break free from them. This doesn't mean you avoid reality or ignore problems. It means you approach them from a place of mental strength rather than defeat. Over time, that mental strength becomes part of your DNA. You become a person who chooses constructive thoughts, who invests energy into solutions, and who can bounce back from criticism without collapsing. That's the power of protecting your mind first thing in the morning. Eighth, you say, God, grant me wisdom. Knowledge is information, but wisdom is knowing what to do with that information. Wisdom is the ability to see the bigger picture, to discern the right path when multiple choices crowd your vision. Maybe you recall a time when you made a decision purely on impulse, driven by emotion or impatience. Later, you found yourself dealing with consequences that could have been avoided if only you had paused, reflected, and listened. Too often we make decisions in a hurry, buying that new car when we can't afford it, quitting a job without a plan because of momentary frustration, or reacting harshly in an argument instead of responding thoughtfully. Those choices can create ripple effects that hurt us and others. But when you ask God for wisdom, you slow down. You invite an eternal perspective into your daily interactions. You weigh your choices, not just by immediate gratification, but by long-term impact. Imagine being offered two exciting job opportunities. Both pay well, both have potential. Without wisdom, you might chase the bigger paycheck or the more glamorous title only to end up in a toxic work environment. With wisdom, you look deeper. You ask the right questions. You evaluate values, culture, and where you can grow. That's a deeper level of discernment that can save you years of frustration. If you skip this plea for wisdom, you risk letting your decisions be dictated by fleeting feelings. You fall into a pattern of chasing illusions and quick fixes, never cultivating the depth that a truly wise life offers. But as you daily ask for wisdom, you develop a habit of thoughtful, deliberate choice making. You train your mind to consider angles you once ignored. You become more decisive, more confident, and people notice. They trust your counsel because they see that you don't rush into things blindly. You become a beacon in your circles, someone known for clarity and sound judgment, and that's a priceless legacy to build. Ninth, you say, God used me for good. Deep down, we all want our lives to matter. We want to leave a positive mark on this earth, to know that we made someone's life better, or that we contributed something meaningful. The desire for significance is woven into our very DNA. But in the daily grind, it's easy to forget. We get caught up in personal goals, personal struggles, personal triumphs. We don't realize how interconnected we really are. When you ask to be used for good, you shift the spotlight off yourself and place it on a higher mission. You become a conduit of blessing. Picture someone who goes through life purely self-focused. Everything they do is about building their empire, their brand, their comfort. They might achieve success in material terms, but there's a hollowness there. Contrast that with someone who wakes up and says, God, use me for good. That person keeps their eyes open for chances to make a difference. Encouraging a colleague, volunteering in the community, mentoring a young mind, or simply offering a kind word to a stranger. The result is an expansive sense of purpose. You realize that in even the smallest acts of kindness, you participate in a larger narrative of hope. You become the one who lifts others when they're down, who speaks life into barren places, who stands for what's right even when it's not popular. If you never pray this prayer, you might pass by countless opportunities to illuminate someone else's darkness. You might be so inwardly focused that you miss the meaningful ways you could serve. Over time, that approach leaves you feeling empty because true fulfillment often comes from giving, not just getting. So each morning, remind yourself, use me, God. Let this set your attitude for the day. The moment you notice a friend in need, a coworker in distress, or a stranger you can bless, you step up. And in stepping up, you expand your heart, your compassion, and your influence in ways you never imagined. Finally, you say, God, fill me with gratitude. Gratitude is a circle. It begins with a simple recognition of what you have, and it ends by creating more joy, more satisfaction, and more peace in your life. It's one thing to say, thank you for another day at the start, but it's another to live in a spirit of continual gratitude. We often fall into the trap of focusing on what we lack. Maybe we don't have the perfect job, the perfect relationship, the perfect house. We forget to see the blessings that surround us, the small miracles we might be taking for granted. Consider the joy of a home-cooked meal, the warmth of a genuine hug, or the comfort of a safe place to sleep. Those things might seem small, but they're huge when they're threatened or lost. If we never cultivate gratitude, we become vulnerable to envy, discontent, and resentment. We start chasing after the next big thing, never satisfied. Over time, we lose sight of life's beauty, our hearts turning cold to the wonder that's literally right in front of us. But when you make a habit of asking God to fill you with gratitude, you train your eyes to see blessings everywhere. Your heart finds reasons to celebrate even in challenges because you recognize the lessons and growth that challenges bring. This shift in perspective can transform how you react to setbacks. Instead of despairing, you learn to see obstacles as opportunities for growth. That doesn't mean you deny pain or hardships. It means you anchor your spirit in thankfulness, which forms a bedrock of resilience. Suddenly, life feels richer. You appreciate people more deeply. You savor experiences instead of rushing through them. And those around you feel that gratitude radiating from you like a soft light, warming their spirits too. This is the secret sauce of fulfilling life. My friends living each day with a heart brimming over in thanks. And so we circle back to why this all matters. We start our day with these 10 statements to God, 10 lines of dialogue between you and the divine, because they align your heart with truth. They prepare you for battles you may face and for blessings you may receive. They remind you that you are not alone, that there is a higher power invested in your growth, your protection, and your purpose. That's powerful stuff, folks. That's the kind of power that can turn an ordinary Tuesday into a life-changing opportunity. It helps you see the world with new eyes, eyes that seek out hope, possibilities, and the potential to do good. And it's not just about you. It's about everyone whose lives you touch. Imagine the collective impact if each of us started our day with gratitude, seeking guidance, asking for humility, striving to forgive, showing compassion, and staying protected in our minds, hearts, and spirits. Imagine the ripple effects in families, workplaces, communities, and nations. That vision is not pie in the sky. It's a reality waiting for you to make it happen, waiting for all of us to make it happen, one morning at a time. So let's recap. We express thanks for the new day because gratitude is the seed of joy. We ask for guidance because none of us can navigate life alone without losing our way. We beg for stronger faith because doubt is relentless and can sap our courage if we let it. We learn humility because pride blinds us to our need for growth. We ask for help with forgiveness because bitterness poisons our hearts. We ask for compassion because this world is starving for kindness. We plead for protection over our minds because negativity prowls like a hungry lion. We yearn for wisdom to discern the right path among many. We want to be used for good because significance is found in serving. And we crave to be filled with gratitude so our hearts stay open to wonder even in the darkest hour. What do we do with these truths? How do we take this from mere talk to actual transformation? We start by deciding. We decide that tomorrow morning and every morning afterward, we will speak these words. We will mean them. We will let them sink into the core of our being. And then we will act on them step by step. When an opportunity arises to show compassion, we'll take it. When pride rears its head, we'll counter it with humility. When we're faced with a choice, we'll pause and ask for guidance. When resentment flares up, we'll choose forgiveness even if it hurts. That's how you become a doer, not just a hearer. We must also remember that real change takes time. Don't be discouraged if you stumble, if old habits resurface, or if fear creeps in when you least expect it. Each new morning is another chance to reset, to come back to these 10 simple yet profound statements. Over weeks, months, and years, you'll find your mindset shifting. You'll find your relationships mending. You'll find your capacity for love, service, and leadership expanding. And the people in your life will notice. They'll see a light in your eyes, a depth in your words, and a warmth in your actions that wasn't there before. They may ask, what changed in you? And you'll be able to say, I began my days differently. I spoke these 10 things to God every morning, and I meant every word. Now, I'm not promising that life will suddenly become free of storms. Storms are part of the journey. What I am promising is that you will face those storms of the soul defined by faith, hope, and love. You will face them with clarity, knowing you're aligned with a greater purpose. You will face them with the wisdom to navigate turbulence and come out stronger on the other side. That's what these 10 phrases can do for you if you let them. They are like spiritual vitamins, fueling your heart and mind with resilience and focus. So, my friends, as you lay your head on the pillow tonight, think ahead to tomorrow morning. Picture yourself opening your eyes, inhaling your first breath of the new day, and letting these 10 statements shape your sunrise. Let them seep into your soul so that by the time you plant your feet on the floor, you're already standing in gratitude, already open to guidance, already fortified by faith, humility, compassion, forgiveness, protection, wisdom, usefulness, and deep, abiding thankfulness. Step out of your room with your shoulders back and your spirit tuned to a divine frequency. Let your energy spark others. Your kindness heal wounds. Your bravery set a new standard. And as you go about your day, whether you're dealing with spreadsheets or diapers or boardrooms or classrooms, remember who you are. You are someone who chooses to connect with the Creator first thing in the morning, someone who places yourself under the guidance of a love that transcends all. That choice alone changes everything. I challenge you, start tomorrow. Don't wait. The next time the sun rises, greet it with these 10 statements. And if you're skeptical, try it for a week. Do it for 7 days straight, wholeheartedly, with your mind focused and your heart open. And see if your days don't start to shift in unexpected ways. Pay attention to the subtle changes. A calmer reaction to stress. A more generous spirit toward others. And unexplainable peace in the midst of pressure. Those are signs you're on the right track. Those are signs that your morning declarations are sowing seeds of transformation in your life. Keep going. Keep pressing on. Keep speaking life into your mornings. And when you gather with friends, family, or even strangers, be bold enough to share what's happening. Because each of us has the power to become a catalyst for good, to spark a chain reaction of hope and faith. The world is desperate for that spark, my friends. It's desperate for people who aren't afraid to stand up, speak truth, and live with heartfelt purpose. Let that be you. Let that be all of us, linked by the intention to invite God into our mornings and let that divine partnership guide our days. So let me wrap it all up. Let these words echo in your spirit as you leave here tonight. You matter. Your words matter. Your daily habits matter. If you anchor them in faith, in humility, in forgiveness, in compassion, and in an unshakable gratitude, you set yourself on a trajectory of growth and goodness. And not only do you bless your own life, but you also become a beacon for others, a testimony of what can happen when a soul decides to connect with the source of love every single morning. This is my prayer for each one of you, that you rise tomorrow with these 10 statements on your lips and carry them in your heart all day long allowing them to become the driving force behind your actions, your relationships, and your impact in the world. Thank you for listening. Thank you for opening your hearts. Now go forth, wake up tomorrow, speak these words, and watch how your life begins to flourish in ways you never imagined. God bless you all.